Ho ho ho, lads. Guys, I just want to quick point out for this video, I'm so sorry guys, but then when I was recording this video, the sun was shining straight at my face. I didn't realize that as I had my camera turned around, so then basically my face was completely white. I hope you guys can still understand what I'm saying and stuff. I think it's more about the what I'm saying rather than what I'm rather than my face that matters more. So yeah. Sorry again about the horrible lighting, and yeah, enjoy the video guys. Merry Christmas. December 25th, it's fucking Christmas, guys. Yeah, it's Christmas and I don't have a Christmas hat on or anything, but Merry Christmas to everyone who's celebrating Christmas first of all. And yeah, let's end the year pretty strong. 6 days left till 2024. Hopefully things are going well on your side. Yeah, let's get straight into the videos. What have I been doing most recently? Most recently, I've been reading an ebook called The Almanack of Naval, Ravikant, written by Eric Jorgensen. So where I actually found this book is from Max Reisinger's video, which I'll play a really quick clip on.
This, if you haven't read this, I think everyone should read this. It has so many great principles. A lot of it talks about wealth and riches, but also there are other principles about happiness, friendships. You can see the notes I've left for each time I've read this book.
This book is actually really interesting as it talks about the concept of wealth and also happiness, and it's a really theoretical book where it talks a lot about theories and stuff. So if you're that type of person who likes philosophies about life, I think it'll be a really good book. And the very funny thing is that this book is actually free online, so I actually read the PDF version, which I can show you right now. As a little Christmas gift, I know it's not a lot, but I'll link the PDF version and the website down in the description so you guys can all enjoy the book, as I think that it's a really good book and it can potentially also change your life. Like most recently, how I always talk about, the concept of entrepreneurship, right? How I respect a whole lot of entrepreneurs who are starting their own businesses and stuff. In my last video, I reacted to Ali Abdaal's "What if money were no object, what would you do?" And in one part of the video, I actually talked to a friend about this concept, and this friend of mine, about 40 years older than me, and he has been working for 30 years, and his response for what if money is no object is nothing. So I was like, how is this possible? It is not possible for someone to not have passion and also interest. That's what I thought in the past. Now that like this thing just kept sticking into my brain, so I was still thinking of how this was possible. So until I stumbled upon Ali Abdaal's most recent video where he talks about 4 books that changes his life, and one of the books is called The Second Mountain. Basically, in summary, you have to climb 2 mountains in life. The first mountain is going to be the mountain where you will be developing yourself, which is basically like the different skills that you develop, right? The different people you meet along the way, fame, money, covering the basic needs, and etc, etc. So basically self-development will be the first mountain that you climb in life. What many people get stuck on is they will get stuck on the top of the first mountain, then eventually just stay there forever, but they don't realize that there's actually a second mountain that will bring them greater joy or greater happiness, which will be a mountain called service. So what is included in service is basically where you start, maybe you decide to start a family, right? You decide to get married. You decide to do some kind of local community service. You decide to do some kind of charity thing, right? That will basically bring you greater joy in your life. So eventually you'll probably get to a point where you'll get bored of, developing yourself, and eventually you'll probably want to find greater meaning in your life, like, the greater purpose of your life, and, do something related to service. Like referring back to the friend's answer, that friend of mine is raising a very healthy and, very good family right now. So like I asked him, like, why don't you just travel the world and stuff, right? Probably like as a young person, like I've the very strong temptations and strong desire to travel the world. That's very exciting, right? And I'm like, ooh, why, like, how is it possible to like get bored of not traveling the world? Now that like I kind of understand this concept, he's probably climbing the second mountain, which will be the service mountain, where he is basically sacrificing himself for the greater good, which is building the next generation, right? And helping the local community, focusing more on making the world a greater place. So that's actually a very interesting thing that I've learned. And also another thing which I've learned most recently is that I think a few weeks ago, there was actually a point where, there will always be this feeling where you start doing you start your self-improvement, and you have friends who are, not following your self-improvement path, and you start looking down at them. Like you start saying, oh, why can't this guy be more like myself, right? Like, why can't he have discipline that I am pursuing right now, right? I'm like doing all the hard work and he's just chilling there. So you kind of look down at them, at some point. But you have to realize that God created us differently, right? If we created all of us in the exact same way, then what's the point of life? Will be some people who are very driven into something, into their passion. So that's why those people will decide to pursue that path, right? And there will be always other people who are going to be lazy, right? Who will be less driven compared to other competitive people like ourselves. So therefore, like, what I think I have to do to move forward is kind of, respect them more, just understand that not everyone is like you, right? Like, I don't know, maybe you're probably an entrepreneur, maybe you're probably ahead of some people, right? But you have to understand that people have their own situations, right? Not everyone is here to, create businesses and stuff. Like, even though I really hope that maybe one day there will be 7 billion businesses in the world. But, not everyone is here to, build businesses, but some people are just here to kind of like, they're not matured yet, right? Like, some people are just here to, figure out what they really want to do in life and, just have other problems to deal with. Like, maybe they're struggling in school, or maybe they're having family problems or anything. So I think the most important thing is to kind of like respect everyone's decisions and everyone's actions, and, just stick to the people who are kind of like similar minded as you when you're trying to like do some kind of projects. Yeah, that's basically most of the things that I want to share. And then what other things I want to share is I want to share a few quotes that I've read from the Almanack of Naval, Ravikant. That's an amazing book. I'm just going to pull out my computer, pull out my diary from last night as some quotes. So I'm going to pull up a few quotes on it and, provide some insights and thoughts. And hopefully they'll be useful to you, or maybe you have your own insights and thoughts too. Oh, this one's a really good one. If you want to be part of a great tech company, then you need to be able to sell or build. If you don't do either, learn. I know this quote is pretty short, but basically what he's saying is that in the future, the two most important skills that you'll probably need is you either need to know how to sell or how to build. And I kind of completely agree with that. If you want to be an entrepreneur, those are the two very main skills that you'll need. And the third one, I think, will be network. Sell, build, network. That will be the three most important things. Like, if you look back 30 years or 20 years, and if AI is still here and, software stuff, that will be the three most important things that will make you successful. And you basically just need one of them. And I personally think that network is like the most important as you like, know people and stuff. But selling and building is very important. Why, you may ask? Number one, these are things that AI cannot replace, right? Like, it's so hard for AI to kind of like build. Like, you eventually need software developers to keep the AI running smoothly and, build programs, right? And you build new ideas, right? Like, nothing's 100% AI possible unless AI takes over the world one day. And selling, right? Like, you cannot use AI to, write your email copies, write your email marketing. You cannot use AI to do paid ads. Why? Because if you decide to use AI to do your paid ads, then AI does not have human feelings, which means that they won't understand the psychology behind humans. So then it will basically be not possible for you to sell a product to another human because there's no emotions behind it, and humans are driven by emotion, not only logic, right? And of course, network, right? If you know this guy, then if you know this guy who's a CEO, or if you know this guy who has good experience, then you guys can start something and eventually you could be successful just because of this guy, right? Just because you know this guy, right? The network is always so important. So sell, build, and network. And one of the quotes is, no one is going to value you more than you value yourself. You just have to set a very high personal hourly rate and you have to stick to it. Even when I was young, I just decided I was worth a lot more than the market thought I was worth, and I started treating myself that way. So this is actually something I haven't considered, considering myself to be having an hourly rate. And this is probably something I'll probably want to reinvestigate at, and a certain point. Having a good timetable is very important. And I think if you set your own hourly rate, right, you can actually decide what things you want to do and what things you want to kind of just mitigate. So for example, like, let's just say I lost these AirPods, right? Earphones probably cost, I don't know, like $5. These wired earphones cost $5. Let's just say your hourly rate is $100. You spend an hour finding an earphones. You're basically lost $95, right? Because you basically gain back $5. What you want to instead do is you want to not do these stupid things and just, not waste your time, as you know that you are worth $100. So finding these $5 earphones will not be helpful. So why not just buy a new pair of earphones ear pods or whatever, and just do something that's useful, right? That's do something that you're valuable at, right? Because your life is really short, and you really don't want to waste the hours, right? You don't want to waste the opportunities in doing things that will make you more valuable. Okay, this one's a very interesting one. What is the definition of retirement? Retirement is when you stop sacrificing today for an imaginary tomorrow. When today is complete in and of itself, you're retired. How do you get there? There are 3 ways. Well, one way is to have so much money saved that your passive income, without you lifting a finger, covers your burn rate. Fair enough. I mean, this one's probably the most common one. A second is you just drive your burn rate down to 0 and you basically become a monk. And the third one is you're doing something you love. You enjoy so much, it's not about money. So there are multiple ways to retirement. So of course, the first one is the most common one, where someone, probably builds some kind of software and, has passive income, or you invest in some kind of business and you're generating passive income nonstop. So that's already called retirement, right? And basically covers your burn rate. And then the second one is basically lowering your burn rate to 0, which is probably going to be very hard unless if you want to be a transcendentalist, or maybe you want to just go camping and do hiking, which requires a really low really low expense. So that's definitely a possibility. And then the third one is something that's actually very interesting: doing something that you love and it's not about the money. So I guess I actually can see like many people doing this. Like, for example, like tour guides, right? Many tour guides, like, they're earning a good amount of money to cover their basic needs, but then they're doing something that they love, which is meeting with new people, right? And exploring different places. I mean, that's something that can be considered. And another thing might be my most recent hiking instructor, right? She basically goes with different schools and does hiking, and even though she doesn't get like a whole lot of money paid, I think she enjoys hiking, number one, enjoys nature, and also enjoys talking to new people. So you're doing something that you actually like and you're still kind of earning your basic needs. That's probably called retirement already. That's a very interesting thing to think of, which I haven't considered, number 2 and number 3. Another good quote is, it's actually really important to have empty space. If you don't have a day or two every week in your calendar where you're not always in meetings and you're not always busy, then you're not going to be able to think. You're not going to be able to have good ideas for your business. You're not going to be able to make good judgments. I also encourage taking at least 1 day a week, prefer 2, because if you budget 2, you'll probably end up with 1, fair enough, where you just have time to think. And it's only after you're bored you have the great ideas. It's never going to be when you're stressed or busy, running around or rushed. Make the time. So this is actually a really good point, which is something that I really, really want to try out, because right now I think my schedule is really, really tight. Like, I can kind of put like a screenshot of my new schedule, which I've followed, kind of like Ali Abdaal's frameworks or something. But I think it's going to be really good if you find time. Like 1 hour is probably exaggerated a lot, because you only have 24 hours in a day, minus the times that you sleep and the times you eat. Is probably going to be less. Like, it's going to be about 10 hours, and you have a lot of, I have school, which is going to take some time, and if you're running a business, blah blah blah. But if you actually can take 1 hour every single day to just not do anything, that would just be insane, right? Like, what you want to do in the 1 hour is maybe stare at the wall and see what comes into your brain, right? And those thoughts, you want to kind of like, you want to see like how those thoughts move around your brain. You want to deal with each thoughts one by one, right? Until the point where basically your mind has no more thoughts. It's basically like like your mind is an email, right? You're going through an inbox, which is your mind, and you basically have so many emails to deal with. And after you deal with every single email, then it's so much less stressful, right? Because you actually get the time to deal with all of the emails, and there's basically less thoughts in your brain. Hang on with me tight. I know it's Christmas, but I think these quotes are really useful. I'm trying to pick, the best ones. And the other ones, I'm going to be linking it. Like, if you want to see all my other quotes, my thoughts on the other quotes, I'm going to link a Notion page, so then you can read the highlights if you want. And if you don't have time to read the books. Happiness to me is mainly not suffering, not desiring, not thinking too much about the future or the past, really embracing the present moment and the reality of what is and the way it is. Nature is no concept of happiness or unhappiness. Nature follows unbroken mathematical laws and a chain of cause and effect from the Big Bang to now. Everything is perfect exactly the way it is. It is only our particular minds we are unhappy or not happy, and the things are perfect or imperfect because of what we desire. This is a really deep quote from Naval. And again, I always believe that, happiness is a choice, right? You can choose to be happy about one thing, or you could choose to be not happy about one thing. Let's just put it this way. You're late to class. You could think negatively, because you're going to be like, I'm late to class. My teacher's going to be really mad. On the positive side, you could say, I'm late to class, but I have 5 minutes extra to spare, right? To be able to, prepare for class. I have 5 minutes extra to, not be in a class which is boring and which I'm probably going to fall asleep in. You can always think about the flip side of basically anything, right? So happiness is always, I always believe that happiness is a choice. It's very interesting about, this whole thing about peace and, being peaceful and stuff, because I actually never have kind of, developed kind of this inner peace. But from what Naval have kind of shaped it in, it looks like inner peace is something that is really like is the true happiness, right? Like, I don't know, we have to figure that out. But peace is actually something interesting that I want to look deeper into. This is getting really long. There's so many good quotes in this book. That's why I'm trying to like emphasize it. And I have so many thoughts on this. But this is the last one, I promise, guys. Pretty long quote, but trust me, this one's gonna be amazing. Socially, we're told go work out, go look good. That's a multiplayer competitive game. Other people can see if I'm doing a good job or not. We're told go make money, go buy a big house. Again, external multiplayer competitive game. Training yourself to be happy is completely internal. There is no external progress, no external validation. You're competing against yourself. It's a single player game. We're like bees or ants. We are such social creatures. We're externally programmed and driven. We don't know how to play and win these single player games anymore. We completely purely in multiplayer game. The reality is life is a single player game. You're born alone. You're going to die alone. You're going to die alone. All your interpretations are alone. All your memories are alone. You're gone in 3 generations and nobody cares. Before you show up, nobody cared. It's all a single player game. That's actually a really deep one. I think this analogy is really great, right? Because it's always easier said than done, but we always compare ourselves to other people, right? Like no exceptions to myself. I always compare myself to other people that are ahead of myself. And there will always be times when you feel envy of them, right? When you feel like someone in the same age is having more progress than you, right? But a really good definition of envy from Naval is, if you're envy of someone, it means that you want to be 100% them. Like, are you willing to switch lives with them completely? If you're envy of one person, you're basically willing to switch lives 100% with them. So before next time you consider yourself to be envy of someone or to be jealous of someone, just think about that, right? Are you actually willing to trade yourself for that person completely? If not, then you're basically not envy of them. We shouldn't be envy of them, right? Because maybe they're excelling in that factor. Like maybe they're excelling financially, but then, family-wise, relationship-wise, you're doing better than them, right? They're not doing that well, right? So you always want to consider like the full picture before being envy of one person. And yeah, that's basically all I have. I'll stop speaking here. Hope you guys spend more time with your family, enjoy the Christmas day. And for those who are grinding out there, grinding self-improvement, grinding businesses, make sure to we're going to end the year strong, right? We're going to end the year strong, and we're going to start the year strong as well. I'll probably not make another video this year. I know I said that like 2 videos ago, but I'm probably actually not going to make another video until probably like next week or something if I have time. Yeah, I love making these videos, and I'll never stop making these videos because it's so great when you just jot down your thoughts, right? Look back at them, not only number 1 and number 2, like I know that there's people out there who are benefiting from this, who are, on the same journey as us, and I just want you all to, stay strong and stuff. And yeah, see you guys in 2024. Peace.